Welcome to the Soulful CXO. I am your host, Dr. Rebecca Wynn. We are pleased to have with us Avani Desai, partner and president of Schellman Company, the largest niche CPA firm in the world that focuses on technology and security assessments. She focuses on growth strategies, strategic client and market development, industry analysis, and new services. She's also the CEO and co-founder of My Crypto Alert, a push notification and portfolio app for cryptocurrency. Money, welcome to the show.
Rebecca, great to be here. Thank you for having me.
It always amazed me that you become the CEO of two companies. Can you walk us through that technology journey?
Sure. So bear with me. I'm actually going to go back to before I was born. People say your journey written in your stars. My parents were born in India in the 1940s, and both my maternal and paternal grandparents really believed in education, and they always thought that was the ticket to your success, which was then passed on to my parents. My mother's parents were very progressive. Thinking about the 1940s to the 1960s, being the oldest girl in her family, when they say you marry someone like your dad, she really did. Her dad was very progressive. My dad was also a progressive thinker. After my mom had two daughters, which were my two older sisters, my dad knew that if they wanted to be successful, they would have to leave the only life they knew, the only language they knew, the only religion they knew, the only people they knew, really with the hopes of America would give my sisters opportunities that India couldn't. And these opportunities would be well worth the sacrifice. I think to myself, can you imagine that? This is the immigrant story. My story isn't unique. You'll hear the story multiple times from multiple countries. From first generation, second generation is here. So my mom and dad came to the States. And unfortunately, even though my dad had a PhD, mathematics, my mom as well, their college degrees really didn't convert. So my dad ended up mopping floors and my mom made belts. But when you ask them, you would think that they lived a great life in India. They were happy. By the time I was born, they saw a country where you're going to be able to thrive. I grew up in a family where I constantly heard this story. And I knew that my parents gave up so much for my sisters to have a chance, for me to have a chance. And that's really when you talk about like where my drive came from, that's where my drive and journey started. I come from an Indian family, and the stereotypes say I was predestined to be a doctor or an engineer. And it's true. Like I've always really enjoyed tinkering at a young age. And when I got into college, I was so intrigued at how technology was intersecting in business and coding. Like I loved coding. So I ended up going into computer science, and I really enjoyed the aspect of breaking things and trying to look at vulnerability assessment. But even during that, I realized my real love was information security. So from there, I segued into working for an accounting firm. And honestly, like if I could think about like, is this how I predicted my life? It wasn't. But everything that I consider exciting and attractive about a potential job, solving problems, data analysis, collaboration, decision making, thinking outside of the box, I found everything there. I spent 10 years at the Big Four, hands down, probably the most amazing experience that I was able to get. They say being at a Big Four, working with multiple clients, you get the gamut. And I did. I spent my first 2 years focusing on security, being a pen tester. Then my next 8 years really focusing on information security. I had mentors and sponsors. I had so many education opportunities. I had amazing friends I'm still friends with. And it was exactly what I needed to find the seat where I am now. But my life changed in 2012. I became a mom and needed more flexibility. A firm where I didn't have to choose between being a leader and a mother. That's how I found Schellman. So Schellman was started by Chris Schellman in 2002, and he asked me to come help him really focus on business development, marketing, which I didn't know anything about. But I knew the space, what clients wanted, and how to increase bring, right? So through the years, I ended up taking a bit off Chris's plate. First, I focused on taking over service delivery. Then I focused on the people and talent. Then I focused on finance. And in 2018, I took a route that you probably wouldn't have thought. I had to end up getting my CPA because we are a CPA firm. I passed my CPA exam, and then I took over as president. In 2021, we went through a private equity deal, and people ask me all the time, like, how did you prep for it? we weren't actively exploring the possibility. Really, on the contrary, we're seeing all this investment around us and didn't really pay attention to it. But both Chris and I, as years went on, we had a strong desire to continue to grow and innovate. But the only way that we could do that was with a strategic partner and the right organization. So I call it an unlooked opportunity. We went through this investment thesis and so forth, and then ended up having a investment in 2021. Chris wanted to retire, but he was able to do it in 6 years earlier. And that's really my story. From that, Chris exited the firm October 1st, 2021, and I became CEO and president. Yeah.
Yeah, and for the audience who don't know, she also has her CISSP and RISC and a bunch of other alphabet behind it, and she really can apply it. That's always amazes me when I hear you speak, and when you and I have talked privately, and when you've been really nice and bought me dinner when you're in the Scottsdale area, which I appreciate. But when you think about it, you've been in these big roles, CEO, variety of roles too. Plus, you've had to study for big exams, but it's not just sit and forget it. It's not just, I just pass exams. You can apply that. Was that from early teaching on your family? What is it inside you that you can juggle all these things?
I don't know if I juggled what, but yes, I do think that is part of innate. I'm going to say it's definitely, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a daughter, I'm a CEO. But if you really think about how I can do all of that, and you don't do it by yourself, like the biggest support I have is the village. Incredible people have been here for me every step of the way. I'm going to really start like my family, close friends, mentors. Sponsorship is really important. Chris was a sponsor of mine. Everyone should have mentors, but you got to find that person who's going to allow you to make that decision around the table over and over again to elevate you. So that's really important. I have colleagues. All of them really have given me this unwavering support that has been instrumental in allowing me to grow and my achievements. Guidance, encouragement, sense of belonging, like all of that has fueled my drive to succeed. Yeah, a part of it is innate, but I also think it's like the environment around me. The other thing, and it's taken me a long time, when I was probably at the Big Four, I probably didn't prioritize as well as I should have. And prioritization today, it plays a vital role in my journey. Balancing multiple responsibilities is challenging for anyone, but I've learned to prioritize what matters. My children, for instance, are the legacy. I approach every decision and endeavor with their well-being and future in mind. This lens of motherhood has really shaped my perspective. And to me, that's like my guiding light, right? It serves as a constant reminder of the impact I can make, not only professionally, but on the lives of my loved ones. And that changes. People say, gosh, you've changed as a leader from 15 years ago or 20 years ago to today. Everyone changes as a leader with things that happen in life. Maintaining a strong sense of purpose and passion also has to be key. And I've mentored so many women who say, this isn't what I want to do, but it pays the bills and it's good for now. No, like you have to be deeply passionate about what you do. And for me, that passion drives me to overcome obstacles, enjoy what I want to do, continually strive for excellence. It's like you need something to fuel your determination to create positive change. And if you don't have that fuel, you're not going to want to leave a lasting impact. And you're not going to want to build a better future for that next generation. It might be better for you to step away. And I've done that many times within my 21-year journey, is I've had to step away for things that were safe and go to things that like I have to really find that passion that I really enjoy, really love. The other thing is like the importance of continuously growing for personal development. You have to be selfish. Like you can't stay stagnant in any career because you want to embrace new opportunities. You want to continue learning. You want to continue having some new skills. We're in like this rapidly evolving landscape. You got to continue to learn But also you have to remain curious. You have to be open to learning. You have to be committed. All of that plays into my love for this. And I'm going to go a little bit on a tangent. Another sense of passion for me is I'm one of only a few women who lead an accounting firm. And I'm actually the only woman of color who leads a top 100 accounting firm. So I recognize that I have this unique opportunity. And I'm going to say a responsibility as well that comes with my position. And it's not always easy, but I think by doing what I'm doing, I'm making hopefully a significant difference. Like trailblazing in a male dominant field means that I have a chance to challenge the stereotype, right? We can call it break barriers, but really it's just inspiring others. Growing up in computer science, I was one of 4 women in a class of 70. If you can't see people like you may not always know what that next step is going to be. So I think it's really important for all of us to embrace the vulnerability that comes with being a pioneer. You have to show there's a path for success and it's not straightforward and it's not effortless. Like you have to share your journey. Like you have to be authentic and you have to say that I failed many times. I've overcome obstacles, but if you don't do that, and if you're not vulnerable about it, people are just going to think, oh, it comes easy and maybe I'm not going to be able to do that. And so I will constantly do this at the firm. I will tell anyone who asks me, like, the road is challenging, but I believe these challenges provide me a valuable opportunity for growing, resilient, ultimately, hopefully making an impact. But it is not easy, and you have to be vulnerable to tell people that it isn't easy. And I make an effort to do that because I think it's an obligation that women, especially in tech accounting and consulting, have to do.
I fully agree. We have to share our stories and our bruises because that's what encourages someone else to keep going. If not, they think that it just happens. We can't hear it through the noise. So how do you encourage people or mentor people to find that inner voice and their true love?
Yeah. So look, I don't want to say you have to use an algorithm or a process or anything. One thing I do every year, and it's because someone who had mentored me told me to do this, is in an organization, you come up with what's your mission, what's your vision, what are your core values. Like, but we should do that as people as well. What is my mission? What is my vision? What are my core values? What are my non-negotiables? I come up with a 1,000-day plan for me professionally and personally. Like, what type of mom do I want to be? What things will I not miss? And what skill set do I want to focus? One of my skill sets, and probably my Achilles heel on, is staying focused. I always have a checklist because I forget things. I'm so strategic and big picture thinking, but there's so many things that I have to do on a tactical perspective. And so that has probably been like one of the things that I have to continue to work on is like, how can I get better when it comes from like finishing things, getting things done, moving on without getting so distracted by what's going on in the world. I think that's important. Sitting down, having introspection and saying, what type of person do I want to be? It's going to change. You have to reinvent yourself every 5 years, especially where we are in technology, where like technology outpacing humans, like we have to reinvent ourselves. But if you don't consciously sit down and think about it and write out, like, this is like what I want my life to look like. And for the next year, short-term plans, 60 days, 90 days, long-term plans, 5 years, 6 years. You have to be present to do that and think it through. And that really changed the way I thought about my future. I was thoughtful about what I would say yes to, and it's okay to say no. I was thoughtful about what boards I was going to join. If it didn't fit with my vision, my mission, and my core values, I wasn't going to do it. And it's okay to say no. And I think a lot of women, including myself, feel like we have to say yes. I heard no is a complete sentence, like in all aspects of my life. And you have to go through that. And then you realize, what's my passion? What do I want to work for? And I think it's really important for all people to sit down every year and think of what your mission, your vision, your values, your core values, your purpose is going to be.
Our time is short. I appreciate you being on the show.
Thanks, Rebecca. Always great to spend time with you.